let's talk about the global perspective on L&D tech. Now, you work closely with learning ecosystems that operate at scale. I mean, that's what's been. What are the most advanced global practices you're seeing today in these times?
I think in terms of global practices, it is one system across the organization.
Okay.
When it comes to learning ecosystems, it is more on the terms. When you talk about technology, it is one massive system that is used across the organizations, be it wherever your offices are, right? And in terms of content comes into multilingual content, right? So you're catering to all the possible people. The other thing is that how learning is become more blended versus only classroom or only e-learning, and blended also in terms of obviously COVID has taught us to use MS Teams to the core, right? So also perspectives from doing workshops which are globally salient. So if I can have people from across the globe sitting and talking to each other and sharing those perspectives. So it's helped a lot to do a lot of networking. So when you talk about learning ecosystems, it's not only the technology learning ecosystems, it's more also about the classroom, it's more also about the virtual classrooms that you do, the webinars that you're holding. It's more about interventions that are salient to the countries that you're working with.
I think regional cultures make a lot of difference as well. You can't, not one strategy would not fit all the cultures.
Yeah, strategy, in terms of strategy, yes, every country. So in my last role, I was handling about 11 odd nationalities as team members and about working for about 100 odd countries. That was a part of my role. While you had one base level program, we had to tweak it, change it to that particular country, to those examples, to those kind of participants, because
you had to make it contextual.
Because of the contextualization.
Right.
So, but having said that, if I had 3 countries participating in the same program, the base would be the same. So we would use different examples.
Okay.
And then you had participants who would talk about it. So, oh yeah, with us we do this, and you're sharing perspectives.
Because we're all humans at the end of the day, so
yeah,
fundamental remains the same. Application would change. True. Okay, how are global organizations approaching skill development differently from what they did 5 years ago?
In terms of skill development, it's changed in terms of not having a standard approach, but a role-based approach, right? And when I say role-based, it's more about a skill that a manager would need versus his subordinate or a frontline officer, for example, or a CXO versus the business head, right? So there are the skills are developed and picked up that way. I can't do a communication skills as a blanket approach for everybody, because as a manager I'm communicating differently because I'm talking to my team. As a CXO I'm talking to the organization.
Right.
So I have to adapt and pick up the skills in that manner. Right? So when you're talking about skill development, it's more role-based, it's more strategic, it's more showing the business impact. So these are 2-3 things that are involved in when you're doing a skill development now.
Yeah, you have to look at many things. It's not a single focus area.
Earlier, if you had a competency base, you would do that for 100 people.
Right, cut, copy, paste.
Yeah.
True.
But now it is more related to
role-based.
Yeah.
True. Interesting. Now, so is the corporate university model still relevant in the age of AI now?
Yeah. I don't think a corporate university model is going to die.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, not everybody has a hardcore corporate university. They have it in their own pockets,
Right.
right? So there are interventions that will be done under that bucket of university. I will still send somebody to an IIMA
Right.
to do a 3-month program because I want that experience to happen, right? I will still send somebody to an ISB, or I will partner with ISB and say that these are my 100 leaders. They need to go through these things. What can you offer us?
Right.
Right? There are still people abroad doing things like your CIPDs, your short-term courses, and all of that. So it's not going to die. The university model will never die off. I think the way it gets approached will be different.
Right.
And that's already happening because
Happening,
you're
of course.
personalizing it to your organization.
True.
And a lot of, at least in India, a lot of the IIMs and ISBs and IITs are ready to customize those courses
Right.
for organizations.
They are.
And
In
that's,
fact, they're also shifting abroad
yeah.
with their bases. So I think globalization is anyways,
Yeah.
happening from that perspective. True. So do you think we're moving towards a future where organizations compete more on learning capability than on products themselves?
I don't think they'll compete on learning capabilities because everybody's learning curve in an organization will be different.
Right.
What my organization does to what your organization does in terms of business is different.
Right.
I think what it will more compete on the kind of experience we all are giving to the end customer.
I think that's the biggest factor.
Yeah. Right? Today everybody has I mean, for example, if you take all the banks, they all have the same accounts, right? You have savings, current, home loan,
The models
FD.
are same.
Yeah, the
All
models
products
are same.
Yeah.
I think what differentiates each of them is the service and the experience that you get.
Right.
Right? Similarly, with all the technology organizations, they're all working on the same technologies. But again, you're working for clients. It's the experience that you're giving them.
Right.
So it's not going to be a fight on the capability of the learning. I think it's more going to be the experience you're giving your end stakeholder.
Right. Absolutely. I think well said. Thank you.